Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Carl Norman from carlnormanconsulting.com. If you're listening to this on the podcast, then welcome. This is my weekly meeting with the wonderful Cathy Savage. Now, you guys won't know this, but this is take two for us. We got like literally 3 or 4 minutes into Cathy's conversation, telling us how fantastic that our week has been so far and all the challenging things that she got. But you missed that, so don't worry about it. We'll just skip over that. No, we won't, Cathy. Please tell me again. No, I need to know. Our listeners need to know what you're going through. They want to know the life of Cathy Savage and what it consists of. So please.
The life of Cathy Savage.
Come on.
Wow.
Tell me.
Oh my God. Where do I begin? Well, no, this week has been a little crazy, productive crazy, which is good. Always good. My friend Chris, who you'll meet someday, he says, "You're blessed to be busy, Cathy. You're blessed to be busy." And I'm like, hey,
True.
That's a good way of looking at it. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll run with that.
Yeah.
But from doing things with my kids and getting them to their sporting events and getting my daughter to look at private high schools because she's only in 7th grade, but apparently you have to do that now. Going to meetings, getting all you UK wonderful people on board with our entrepreneurial venture, and securing and strengthening our UK team, people hitting major marks in their business, to my husband starting his own real estate firm. I mean, it's just, wow. It's cue the circus music every day, but that's a good thing.
Wow, that's incredible. Well, listen, that actually takes us right in to what I wanted to speak about today, which was about fear. Now, I find this... I find it an exciting subject, and I find it a really interesting subject simply because I think some of us either face the fear or most of us will end up running away. So you've just mentioned, obviously, your daughter going to a high school, your husband starting a new business. You know, to do all of those things, some people are quite happy to live their life in a comfort zone and not really venture out of that comfort zone. And the world is okay. And then when something goes wrong, it's like, oh my God, this is just crazy. Whereas, I don't know, I think that you're the type of person that's maybe threw yourself into a lot of challenges and you've gone, you know what, show me the fear, let's see what happens. Would that be fair to say, or am I off mark there? Because I don't think
that's 100% accurate, for sure. Do you want to ride a merry-go-round, or do you want to ride the roller coaster?
Exactly.
And the roller coaster has its ups and its downs, but you feel alive and electric and vibrant. Some people like the merry-go-round; it just goes around and around.
Yeah. And what do you think that is, though? With regards to, I mean, again, I think that the fear factor of anything is fascinating. I mean, take our business, for example. I mean, I've got to be honest with you, and we've had this conversation on the phone, and we've had this conversation speaking together, where we've said, you know, getting involved in this business was one of those things that you think, well, I wonder what other people are going to say. And I feel that people's biggest hang-up is really worrying about stuff behind them and stuff that thinking, oh, if I do this, then this might happen. I mean, what's your experience with either A, getting involved in this business and then finding out that, you know what, did I have anything to worry about in the first place? No.
Yeah, fear is real. Fear is rational. It's irrational, but it's a rational part of growth. And I think when we're young, we take risks as kids and we don't understand. So when you're first starting out in something, sometimes you are fearless because you have nothing to lose. And, you hear that a lot from I follow a lot of sports legends, and from golf to soccer to football, they'll tell you that, when they first start up, they're fearless, but as they get better, the fear starts to sink in.
Yeah.
But I think we all have a fear of failure in business, a fear of rejection, a fear of we aren't enough, or a fear of what people are going to say about us.
Yes.
I always, refer to the imposter syndrome. In fact, we just did a call on this with my fitness team. It's a real thing that you feel like you're a fraud if you talk about something that people might say, that's not you. You don't do that. And that's real. But successful people leverage fear. They do. And I think that's really what is the difference between someone who looks at fear and has the strategies in place to address it, because everyone's fearful of certain things. So you can't say I'm going to eliminate fear, but if you take simple practices, and I like to always say your growth mindset is number one.
Correct.
That's how you strategize and leverage yourself out of fear. Because fear is almost mandatory, but what's the alternative? Of course you're going to be scared doing something new.
Yeah.
And that's really the growth mindset, and knowing that your goal has to be mandatory. And so to get to that goal, you're going to go through some ebbs and flows. But to own your goal and not accept excuses for your goal, that's the fear. Excuses are really fear. Like, oh, I want to do this business, but I'm afraid what someone's going to say. So that's an excuse based on fear. You're just fearful of what other people might say. And I'll tell you, most people don't care.
Correct.
We think people are like, oh, what are they going to say about me? And I always say, get over yourself. No one cares about you. They're more worried about their own stuff.
Correct.
So if they say something about you, they may say something, but then they move on to something else. And you sit there and internalize, what are people going to say about me? And I always say, you're not the queen. Get over yourself. Don't put so much emphasis into what people say about you. They don't pay your bills. They're not your board of directors. They're none of those things. Yet we all do it. So it's kind of par for the course, and learning how to leverage it and make it almost a good thing is kind of our strategy, to just leverage it and say, you know what? I'm going to own the fear. I'm going to own it. And so you would recognize it. You know this. You're a mindset coach. You know this, Carl. You say to yourself, people may not agree with what I'm going to do here. They may not agree with my business, but I'm going to focus on the people that I can help and not the people who have their own stuff going on. So they're going to push that over on me. Yeah.
And I think that's what happens. I think a lot of people will tend to put their stuff on you. I was going to say something else then, but it begins with S. But yeah, their stuff on you because of the limits and beliefs that they probably got. I always tell this little story, is that when I first moved over to Spain, I was walking along the beach with my son, and he was only about, I think he was about 6 or 7 at the time. And he was a great little swimmer, really great. We learned him how to swim, thinking we're moving over to Spain, totally different country. We've got a pool, so he's going to be in the pool. We want to be safe. And we walked along this beach. And again, I say this in some seminars and speeches that I do. And I had Oldham by the hand, and we could see a pier further down the beach in Marbella. And the pier went out about 200 yards into the sea. And I said to my little fella, I said, do you fancy running on that pier? And we'll get right to the end and we'll jump off and we'll swim in the sea. And he says to me, he said, it might fall down, Dad. He said, the pier might fall. I'm like thinking, where's that come from? So I had to go through a mental strategy of saying to him, okay, let's look at the worst case scenario. Okay. So we went through a process. And again, that mindset thing, and saying to him, okay, let's say, for example, we got to the end of the pier and it did fall down. Tell me what you can see from now. So we're looking at the pier and we could see people standing up just at the edge of the pier. So literally right at the end. And he says, oh, well, there's people standing up. So I says, well, it's not that deep, is it? And he's like, no. He said, it's not that deep. And I said, so you can swim, can't you? And he's like, yeah. And he said, I swim like a fish. He's 6-year-old. He's full of confidence. See where I'm going with this? So I said, listen, worst case scenario, it falls down. We jump into the water. We swim safely back to the shore. What do you think of that? Well, he's off. Boom. He's gone. Running down to the pier, and I'm trying to catch him, straight into the water, swims back. Again, it's a logical step of when you're talking about mindset issues with fear. When I go through stuff with clients, is I'll say, listen, okay, worst case scenario, what's going to happen here? How do we structure the fact that if it does all go pear-shaped, what's the worst thing that can happen? And to me, I mean, teaching that to a 6-year-old and teaching it obviously to someone who's a little bit older, slightly different ball game, because like you said before, the younger guys are a little bit more like, well, there is no fear. You know, I think that, we're born with no fear. But as we get older and we're told what we can do and what we can't do, then we start to process all that and think, oh, maybe we can't. Maybe other people will say this.
So true.
Does it really matter? Does it matter?
It's so true. You just knocked it out of the park because you just knocked it out of the park because you owned the fear. So a lot of people just kind of push their fear aside, but you owned it, and then you turned that fixed mindset. I say that a lot. You either own it or you don't.
Yep.
Either up or down, hot, cold, up.
Yep.
But when you own it, and then you work through it with a growth mindset strategy, whether it's your kid or your business partner or your spouse, that's how you get through stuff.
Yep.
And so, I always say that, but we're taught when we're about 5 or 6, don't talk to strangers. Don't. So what if I took that strategy and never talked to you? Because at first you were a stranger.
Yeah,
so we're embedded with all of these things of fear and risk. For many of it's for our safety, but we have to rationalize it. And how do we do that? We own it. We determine that one thing's fear, one thing's risk, one thing's excuse, and you leverage it. You leverage it through your belief system.
Correct.
Because that's what you did. Your belief was knowing that you'd be okay if that peer collapsed. So that belief system is basically the foundation of getting through your fear.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. Cathy, listen, tell me, how do you, because obviously you've got kids as well, how do you change? Because again, I think that we can find it quite easy when we are helping our children with mindset, because we're teaching from experience. Now, I like to think that I teach my son about having a growth mindset instead of having a fixed mindset. But when we get to become an adult, is that we can get stuck in that fixed mindset sort of mode where that we're just not prepared to look at anything. I call it peripheral vision. And I say, you know what, sometimes, guys, you've got blinkers on. You're like horses. You're like race horses. You're just doing this. I'm just going in one direction. And all of a sudden, someone opens your eyes to something and you go, wow, where did all this come from? This is amazing. And it's right, isn't it? So how do you do that with your own kids and people that you meet with regards to not trying to change their mindset, but sort of saying, listen, this is fixed. This is, we've got to see the bigger picture here. How does that work for you?
Yeah, with my kids first, I literally have told them the difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. And fear doesn't live in a growth mindset. It lives in a fixed mindset. Yeah. So when they say something, they're pretty good by now because they're around it. Yeah. But when they say something like, for example, my son will say, "Oh my God, this test tomorrow, I don't know if I'm going to do well, Mom. It's going to be really hard." So I say, okay, let's turn that around, say it again. And he will say, I've studied, I've prepared for this test, and I'm going to do the best I can. So I literally stop them dead in their tracks to turn into that growth mindset. I grew lucky. My parents, they didn't probably call it a mindset, but that's how they always, they always looked for that silver lining with every situation that we went through. So that was embedded into me. So what I do is I do that for my kids. And now I do it for my clients and my business partners. And like you said, the fear of rejection, the fear of someone's going to say something that might hurt you. The other strategy I do with my adults, especially women, when they say, oh, someone told me that this business isn't going to be good for me, or someone told me that I'm not going to be able to ever lose the weight. I say 3 words to them, Carl. I say, is it true? Is it true what they say? So when you know your truth, you acknowledge, hey, people might say something about my business or about my body, but is it true? I'm a great person. I've changed lives. I deserve this business. I deserve to be happy. I deserve to change my financial blueprint. I deserve these things. So I always say that when people say it, you have to ask yourself, is it true? Because usually it isn't. It's just someone's opinion.
Yeah.
But when you have that full belief in your business, your relationship, you don't really have to question it. So again, that belief is the foundation, whether you're a kid or whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur or someone who's just going through some life experience. Yeah. It's really that belief in yourself and surrounding yourself with people who have the same mindset.
You know what? That's exactly that. That's a totally different subject, because I believe in obviously mirroring successful people. I believe in looking at what other people are doing and obviously following what they do. Again, we do that in NLP, But there was something else that I was going to suggest then with regards to some of the things that we tell ourselves. I've said this to clients before. I can't lose weight. I find it really difficult to lose weight. And I say, okay, do me a favor. Go and stand in a full-length mirror. And I want you to say exactly the same thing to yourself. And I want you to have your shoulders haunched and go, oh, I can't lose weight. And then what I want you to do is I want you to put your shoulders back, put a little bit of a smile on your face, say, I can't lose weight. I just can't. And then do that 3 or 4 times. And trust me, somewhere along the lines, you're going to look at yourself and you're going to go, that's actually bull, because I can. I know that I can. But because I've told myself so many times, I've actually started to believe that stuff now. It's ridiculous, isn't it? How many times that people will tell themselves something and they genuinely won't do anything through the fear of even their own voices, never mind what's going on outside them. We've all had that before, let's be honest with you, but it's trying to get over that.
You know what you just said? And I'm not here to like sing your praises, but
no, go on, you can. Go on.
Okay, I will, but I'm pretty honest and I'm straightforward. What you just said is why you are an exceptional fitness coach, life coach. Your NLP training makes you different from everybody else, because what you're doing is you're teaching people, Carl, how to get rid of their story. And that's what the beauty of NLP is. It's releasing that story that you're telling yourself or that you're hearing from others and making it smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. My good friend Lisa, she and I will be coming to the UK in June. She does a lot with that. I can't wait for you to meet her. Sure. Because what we do is we have people tell that story. Like, I can't lose the 10 pounds. And then I say, okay, sing it in an opera voice. Yeah. I can't lose that. And then sing it like this. So you kind of, and that's all NLP. You've got to release the stories that are holding you back because you're doing it, not the person telling you your business is not going to work. It's you taking that story and holding on to it and letting it fester inside of you. Yeah. And so I love that you do that, because there's not many fitness coaches and mindset coaches who really take that to that level, Carl. And that's why you have success with everything you do, because it's a strategy and everybody needs to do that. Otherwise they get lost in the story. Yeah. So I love that you do that, because that's how you release your fear of everything.
Correct.
And stand in your truth.
Yes, absolutely spot on. Kathy, I am going to cut us off because we have had a wonderful coffee break now. And mine is finished. It's all gone. Have you? Yeah. But listen, I really want to thank you for joining us today. I can't wait again for us to have another coffee break. This time either next week. And
I wonder what we're going to talk about next.
I don't know. I'm sure that we'll find something to talk about. But Cathy Savage, thank you so much for your time today. Massively appreciate it. And I look forward to obviously catching you on the next coffee break. You take care and have a fabulous weekend.
You too, Carl. Thank you.
Bye.